Hey, cats, good morning to you. Sunday morning. Today we're going to talk about the Lizard Lord, old Eye Patch McCain, Dan Crenshaw. We're going to touch on some of Biden's new border policy situation. And we're also going to speak on Bolsonaro having his own January 6th in Brazil today. But you know the deal. You want to hit? Here you go.
I promise you, there's a ton of Republicans who will not vote for them. They will not vote for anyone except Kevin McCarthy.
Good morning, infidels. Welcome in. Today, like I said, we're going to start off with old Eye Patch McCain. You got to see a little clip there with him telling you he's all in on groupthink and dissenting voices are a problem, right? But it gets worse than that. You don't have to observe the guy for long to realize he's a warmonger. His claim to fame, he's a Navy SEAL, lost his eye in combat. But he wants to send your kids to do the same or worse, right? Absolute, POS, complete reptile. But I'm going to let you watch these clips real quick. We'll talk about them, and I'll show you how it gets way worse. All right.
Look, I like killing terrorists. I liked it when Obama killed bin Laden. I liked it when Trump killed Baghdadi and Soleimani. And I like Biden killing these Kataib Hezbollah guys.
Those of us are saying, look, you pushed us into this corner, so now we're saying we won't vote for anyone but McCarthy. That's why we're saying it, because we cannot let the terrorists win.
Right? Enemy combatants, right? Representing you. So you've seen the first clip. He talks about how he loves to kill terrorists. In the next clip, he refers to dissenting Republicans as terrorists. Right? I mean, any kind of rhetoric from someone that supports anyone other than the establishment, and this would be considered acts of terrorism, right? But, since Eye Patch McCain says it and he backs the establishment, not much is going to be said about it except for maybe on Old Tucker and a couple of the shows you follow on YouTube or BitChute, right? This guy needs to go. I cannot believe that people want to lean more towards the right or towards conservatism, and they keep voting for lizards, man. You know what I mean? If someone sells you out once, you got to watch them. They sell you out twice. You need to get rid of them. They sell you out 3 times. It's completely your bad. You know what I mean? It's the same voters that keep these lizards in office for decades at a time. The exact reason we need strict term limits. All right, but moving on. All right, so I got just a couple more clips here. Well, I'm gonna extend it into one large clip, a couple of clips of Biden's latest border spiel, and we'll talk about it afterwards. Check this out.
Failure to pass and fund this comprehensive plan has increased the challenges that we're seeing at our southwest border. No one knows this better than the vice president. In fact, the previous administration used a rule called Title 42 to deal with the pandemic, to rapidly expel people who crossed the border. It was designed to deal with the pandemic, but it's used as a means to expel people at the border. People turned away under Title 42, and they're not barred from trying to come back. They've been turned away. They go back. They try again. They try again. Well, they can and they do try to re-enter the United States again and again, which makes the problem that border. It's clear that immigration is a political issue that extreme Republicans are always going to run on. First, if they're seeking asylum, they can use an app on their cell phone called CBP1, O-N-E, CBP1, O-N-E. That's to spell it out, not the number 1. To schedule an appointment at a port of entry.
So as usual, right? Let's go, Brandon, complete moron. Basically the guy's saying Title 42 was a problem as it expelled people, but then, they tried to come back. Right? I'm sure that's what happens about 99% of all the deportations that, go on. They don't just go, oh, well, you got me. I'm going to stay out. I was breaking the law to get in, but since you removed me or put me at the border, I'm not going to come back. I mean, oh, right? And then, again, he's going on to something even more moronic where you're telling people that are pouring across the border in hordes, literal packs of thousands, that you can go ahead and use your cell phone to check in, right, and apply for asylum. And then the vast majority of them are then let into the country with court dates, which they do not show up to, right? And I know that people like to use the old bleeding heart. Well, they're just trying to make a better life for themselves. Well, I mean, what about better lives for your countrymen, your children, your grandchildren? And it's not one of those, they're taking our jobs type of situation, right? It's literal economics. We already have a problem with an overblown money supply. And then these people pour across borders and send the vast majority of what they make back home to their families, which I understand, right? You want to help your family. And that's exactly what I'm touching on. But, that decreases the value of the dollar in your hand because they're just going to continue to print to replace that currency in the process, right? Increases inflation, increases pricing, yada, yada. And then on top of that, it's statistically proven that, the larger sect of Americans, we won't get into the racial aspects here, don't breed enough to replace themselves, right? Which, in reality is a pretty good thing when you're totaling into hundreds of millions as is. Basically, it's deterring the value of your labor from increasing. You think back to serfdom with the plague and whatnot, and that is kind of the mother of capitalism. You went from being a slave or a serf to labor being, a prime commodity due to scarcity, and so you had to be paid, right? And it's like that to this day. If you have 100 people, applying for a position, most employers are going to take the more affordable. Of course, you want experience, you want work ethic, but experience can be lied about as well as work ethic, and you really don't know about someone's ethic until they work with you, right? So, absolute horseshit. This guy's a moron. He's not trying to secure the border. He's basically only excluding a few groups, Nicaraguans, Cubans, and Haitians, right? There's still quite a few people that are just allowed to pour through the border unchecked unless they, use the app, right? Well, moving on. Brazil, old Jair Bolsonaro, now has had his own January 6th as of today, right? So these clips here, this scene here, you can see thousands of people at the Capitol there. They've also went into the ministry buildings and the presidential palace. They were pretty funny an interview with the Globo News there with Miss Da Silva, who is the wife of the current sitting president there, obviously. Took them through the presidential palace afterwards, and they're complaining that there was stained floors, rugs torn, that there was floor damage, and there was a window broke. Right? Again, insurrections. You know what I mean? These guys are armed with T-shirts and flags. It's not an insurrection. It's and they're calling it insurrectionists or terrorists. And it's literally the people of a country fed up of their voices not being heard and just being disregarded as some kind of extremists because they're worried about the health of their country, their family, and their descendants. Absolute ridiculousness. You feel for these people. It's on the same, their voting system is like the same as ours. The digital bullshit that has been shown to easily be hacked in the past. And what was funny is the party that currently, promotes the safest, most secure elections and democracies in the world. Right? They used to not want these machines. They used to talk about how they were very easily corruptible and hackable. But here we are, 2023. Now, if you disagree with the counting of a digital machine, you're a terrorist. All right? You guys know the deal. Like, share, subscribe. Tell me to fuck off. Smell you later.
We're not against the Republicans. We're not against the Republicrats. We are against those MAGA thugs. Thugs.